Uh, so quite a number of attendees have already joined. So I was really thinking that I will be waiting for maybe 1 more minute before I start. So the topic for today is job scenario after COVID-19. That is the topic, and I'm sure that all of you over here will be extremely interested with this topic. I would like to just hear from you once that whether I am audible or not. You can kindly write in the question panel if I am audible. Anybody please write just to. Okay, thank you. So got an answer for somebody. Gulab Shah. Thank you, Gulab Shah. Thank you, Sahitya. I got to understand that I am audible. So my topic, as I have said today, is job scenario after COVID-19. Now, irrespective of who you are, irrespective of what is your age, it is a topic which is of interest, enough, immense importance, or enough interest for all of us, because we all want to know that after COVID-19, what will be the scenario of employment? Will the job scenario be good? Will it be bad in certain sector? Which sectors will it be bad in? Which sectors will it be good? So these are the questions which are going through your mind. And I would like to give you an answer to these questions of yours in the way I look at it. Though telling you from the very beginning, I'm a positive person. I want to look or try to look at things from a positive angle. So you might find some positive sides, more positive sides in my discussion. If you have any questions regarding that, you can easily ask me and I will be answering you. So let me introduce myself. I am Professor Dr. Vishwajoy Chatterjee. I am the Vice Chancellor of University of Engineering and Management, UEM, Jaipur. I have passed my engineering from India itself, Jadavpur University, my master's. After that, I did my PhD from National Institute of Technology, NIT, and I have done a bit of research on robotics with National University of Singapore. I was there for quite a while, and I did some research on robotic platforms. So this is about myself. Now let me get into the topic, because I think quite a number of attendees have already joined. So let me get into the topic now. The topic in one sentence is job scenario after COVID-19. So what will be the discussions over here? See, when this webinar was announced, there were 3 questions put forward, but those 3 questions actually turn out to be 2 questions in total, not really 3. Because the first question was, what will be the job scenario after COVID-19? Now, keeping that job scenario in mind, keeping the future job scenario in mind, which course of higher education should you opt for? So I just combine these two and make it one question itself, because which higher education sector will you choose for pursuing your studies? That really depends that where the job scenario will be better. Say if the job scenario is better in field in sector X, then definitely you will be going for sector X, and if it is bad in sector Y, then definitely will not opt for the sector Y to pursue your higher education. So I just combine these 2 questions and say, okay, my first discussion will be what will be the job scenario after COVID-19? Keeping this future job scenario in mind, which course should you opt for to pursue higher education? So that is my first question. The second question, for pursuing higher education, you may need to continue in online mode till the pandemic situation is over. You can understand, till this pandemic is over, it might not be possible for you to physically attend your institution. So you might have to go for online studies. Now, many people have asked me that, sir, what is the difference between distance education and online learning till pandemic is over? Let me tell you, these are totally 2 different things. And my second part of the discussion will be exactly that, how these 2 are different. So let me start with my first part, job scenario after COVID-19. Let me tell you that my first part, I will also break it up into 2 parts. The first part will be what the experts think and what they are saying. What are the experts in finance, experts in education, different experts, what they see, how they look at it, what they are saying. And the second part will be what I analyze out of it, my thought process on it. So I start with the first part. How will coronavirus impact jobs opportunities across the different sectors? See over here, if you look into it, then in one sentence, experts say that sectors that depend on people's behavior would take the longest time to recover after the end of the lockdown period, while those curbed by the government to contain the spread of coronavirus are set for a bounce back immediately after the restrictions are removed. What does it mean? There are sectors where people's behavior is actually stopping it. They will take long time. Whereas certain things government has stopped, that will take time. Like visit a mall. You tell yourself, visiting a mall, why does it happen? It happens because of people's behavior. You as a person like to visit a mall. Some other person might not like that much to visit a mall. It says that sectors that depend on people's behavior, like visiting a mall, would take long time to recover. That is, for you to go to a shopping mall to spend time, which is your characteristic, will take longer time. Whereas certain things which government has stopped will take lesser time. It is time for me to come to the examples directly. But remember, whatever I am saying in this segment of my discussion is what the experts think. I will come to what I make out of it, that I will come to in the next part of my discussion. So sectors, according to the experts, what are the sectors that remain afloat? That is, sectors which has not really been facing too much of a problem. I am talking about them first. IT world, telecommunication sector, companies connected with digital world, these did not see the downfall in true sense. I repeat, the IT world, the telecommunication sector, and any company which is connected with the digital world did not really see the downfall in true sense. In some sense, it might have increased, like digital advertising. Digital advertising have increased. Entertainment, such as Netflix and Amazon Prime, are supposed to make a better business. These are the sectors that remain afloat, did not really hit, was not really hit, because these things are really not curbed in any way. Work and office systems like video conferencing software, they have increased. Logistics supply chain have increased. So these are the sectors that remain afloat. They really did not face any difficulties because of the lockdown. So what are the sectors I talked about once more? IT world, telecommunication sector, and companies which are connected with the digital world, they did not really see the downfall in true sense. Now, second sector, second set of sectors, I'm talking about those which will bounce back immediately. That is, they might have seen some downfall, but will be bouncing back immediately. What are they? Medical sector, health equipment, digital companies. They will bounce back immediately. If some digital companies have gone down, some, then those will again bounce back immediately. Medical sector and health equipment will bounce back immediately. Remember, medical sector and health equipment does not depend on people's behavior. Irrespective of your behavior, you will have to take help of medical sector. That is not your behavior. You as a person does not like to go to a medical sector, and somebody else wants to go to a medical sector. This is false. It is curbed by the government. So once this curve is over, immediately it will bounce back. The second set of sectors, physiotherapy and Indian medicine like Ayurveda, will see a big rise as existing health infrastructure is overloaded due to the current pandemic. So you can understand the health infrastructure is overloaded. The doctors are overloaded. So Indian medicine like Ayurveda might see a big rise, and it will take some time for allopathic doctors and hospitals which provide conventional treatments to bounce back to their pre-pandemic efficiency. You can expect Indian medicine physiotherapy to see a big rise. E-commerce and home delivery. Have a look at it. E-commerce and home delivery. This e-commerce companies, they will see a upstick as people will prefer to move out the minimum and have the orders delivered at home mostly. I repeat, you as a person, for shopping, you will not like to go out immediately. Instead, you will like the stuffs to be delivered at your home. So e-commerce and home delivery will go up. It will see a further upstick. Transportation, storage, warehousing would come back quickly once the lockdown is lifted. Now, I would like to point out, if you really have a look into it, the interesting thing is that for these sectors to continue doing good, IT support is needed. So you can always expect IT will keep on doing good and better, most noticeably, because you cannot, the sectors that I have talked about, digital, entertainment, I talk about this medical sector, I talk about e-commerce and home delivery. Is it possible without IT? No. So definitely you can say that IT will always be on top. Sectors that will need time. Now I talk about sectors. I don't talk about these sectors. I will again like the audience to remind that, see, these are not something which I am saying. These are something which the experts have said. I'm just trying to focus on what experts have said before I go to my point of view. Expert says those which would not bounce back anytime soon. Which are those? They are those which depend on people's behavior. I told you earlier, people's behavior, like travel and tourism. You as a person like to travel. Somebody else, your friend as a person, might not like to travel. So traveling is people's behavior. So travel and tourism might take some time. Staying in hotels, flying overseas, going to shopping malls for fun, this might increase. So you might like to go to shopping mall to quickly shop your daily requirements. You might, to some extent, if you are not relying on e-commerce, on your home delivery. But for fun purpose, visiting a shopping mall is going to go down. Flying overseas will go down. So travel and tourism might go down for the time being. That is what experts think. People will not like to travel unnecessarily. They will not like to stay in hotels. Tourism industries may take time, but these are what experts say. Now, as I told you, I will try to divide this in two parts. That is what the experts have said. I have already explained to you which are the sectors which will take time, which are the sectors that did not take time at all, which are the sectors which will bounce back. Sectors which will bounce back are Indian medicine, medical sector, e-commerce, transportation, storage. All this will go up. But sectors that will need time are travel and tourism, and IT never faced a problem. So these are the three parts that experts have said. Now, my viewpoint, I tell you, all these mentioned above are the general notion of the experts, but as they say, you cannot pluck the future out of the crystal ball. Things might not work exactly as per our expectations. You cannot predict the future so easily. Things might change. Who thought that people will not prefer to stay at home and will jump to the liquor shops as soon as they open, creating long queues? Did you think? Unexpected behavior of people does stand otherwise to the opinion made by experts on the future. So this my one example of mine of liquor industry might also justify the coming 7 sectors I am going to talk about. I am going to talk about coming 7 sectors which I feel might justify my saying that might be justified by the example of liquor industry, which we never predicted. We never predicted that people will jump, but it has happened. So let me see for these 7 sectors what can be the case and what is my thought. Construction. See, if you really look into it, what experts say, there is doubt if property buyers will be in a position to repay their loans. I think you get it very easily. Property buyers might not be in a position to repay that. They have taken loans from the bank to buy properties, to make properties. Will they be in a position to repay their loans? Might not be. So real estate might go down. As it is, real estate tends to dip during the monsoon season. The monsoon season is coming. So real estate tends to dip. So it is expected that the construction sector will go down. But then, is not there a chance of very quick climb back of activity? There might be a rush among the builders to complete pending projects. Completion of pending projects, there might be a rush because they want to acquire the money from the investors, which may lead to jobs in the construction sector and civil engineering. What I meant to say is the builders were going through a loss. When this lockdown opens, when the norms are prevalent, maintaining the norms, there might be a case that the builders immediately jump to complete the pending projects at the earliest. You don't forget that the builders come into MOU with the investors who purchase from them, and they commit that they complete this project within this time. So maybe they will jump to complete their projects. And if they jump, if they want to do overtime to complete the pending projects, that might lead to jobs in the construction sector and civil engineering. That is what I take on it. Travel and tourism. Now, similarly, in the extreme scenarios now painted, there seems to be no hope for the travel and hospitality segments. There seems to be no hope. Most experts feel that there will be job losses, bankruptcies, shutdowns. I told you I am a hopeful person, I'm a positive person. Let's have a look at the hopeful side. There are tens and thousands of people stranded across the globe, home or away at their origins or midway. Don't you forget, many people are stranded. Yes, the workers are walking, they are walking back to their home, but there are thousands and lakhs of people who are just stranded at a different place, waiting for the flights to reopen. Let us not forget it. There will be untold thousands who would now wish to visit their family. There are many people who are not really trapped. It is there, they have been staying there maybe for 10 years, but don't you forget, their family might be staying somewhere else. So those untold thousands might now wish to visit their family after not having been able to be with them in times of deep uncertainty. There's a time of deep uncertainty. They were away from their family. They might be like to go. They might like to go. People may be afraid of travel, but they may also want to move as if freed from prison. Post-lockdown, the sales of air tickets may skyrocket, as may their prices. The related spike in demand may show up the hospitality sector too. That is my take. Again, I told you, I'm trying to find out some hopes within this, but I really don't feel that I'm talking too much senseless. What I'm talking, I think all of you will agree with me that yes, many people are trapped. They will like to travel back. And if many people like to travel, air tickets price will increase, and this might show up the hospitality sector too. What about agriculture? See, farmers are sitting on a bumper rabi crop. Although there are indications of a 15 to 20% loss in wheat production due to untimely rain. So you can understand there is untimely rain. And if you are acquainted with agriculture, you know that untimely rain really hampered agriculture. So agriculture might go down. However, is not this a consideration too, that a portion of migrant families who go back to their villages and do odd jobs during this season are available as farm laborers? What I'm trying to point out is, earlier, these laborers, migrant laborers, refused to work back at home at lesser rates. They refused to work. Now, as they cannot do those odd jobs, you understand, they cannot do those odd jobs because they cannot travel, they cannot go out of their home very easily. As a result, they are willing to work at those lesser rates in their village itself, which may lead to jobs in decision making sector of the agriculture industry to make it flourish with the help of the availability of this labor, which in the true sense is cheap now. If labor is available, if plenty of cheap labor is available, then the decision making sector of the agriculture industry might decide to find a way out and use those labor and to boost up the agriculture sector quickly. That is my take on it. Restaurant, what do you think? Will you like to go to the restaurant? People's behavior, as experts think, people's behavior say that they like to go to restaurants. Some people like, some people does not. So if it is depending on the people's behavior, then it is going to go down. So it is expected that the restaurant sector will go down, as people might not prefer going to restaurants now. But cannot the demand for dining activity also increase immediately? Why? You please don't forget, again, this freeing from prison is there. People are feeling, once the lockdown is over, people might feel that they are freed from prison. They might go out in large numbers for dining. There will be a certain portion of people will not miss an opportunity to rush to their preferred restaurants post pandemic, which might drive the sales of the restaurant business also, because people's behavior is dependent, that it is dependent on the people's behavior, that whether they go to the restaurants or not. So if by people's behavior you don't go, then again by the behavior of certain people, they might rush now, which might drive the sales of restaurant business also in future. What about retail and multiplex? I would tell the same thing. Retail and multiplex sector might go down, but then cannot the same unpredictable nature of people drive them towards retail stores and multiplexes to find entertainment post pandemic and boost up this industry? What about automobile? Slightly different thought. Automobile industry has been predicted to face a bit of hit, expecting people not to purchase cars, owing to the expected less intent of people on moving out. People will move out lesser. So purchasing cars, thought of purchasing cars in your mind does not come immediately. However, I want all of you to appreciate the fact or understand the fact that whatever we say, you like it, you don't like it, emotion of people right now are going strongly against China. You might like my word, you might not like my word, but emotion of people are going strongly against China. Then the intent of the world on moving towards electric cars gives a huge opportunity to the Indian market to produce and capitalize on electric cars, for which we are dependent mostly on China. What I mean to say is, you like electric cars. The whole world now wants to shift to electric cars. Is not so? You also think in your mind that nowadays we don't like petrol cars, we like to go to electric cars. But then for these electric cars, on whom are we dependent? We are dependent on China. But emotion of people are going strongly against China. That may lead to a large number of jobs in the automobile industry too, and for the mechanical and electrical engineers, because there might be Indian companies coming up with these cars, with these electric cars. So it might create a large number of jobs for the mechanical and electrical engineers also. Also, there might be a demand of two-wheelers. You don't forget that two-wheelers can be a huge demand, as people will prefer to shun public travel. They might not want to go for public travel. And in India, we can afford purchasing bike and scooter. So that gives a chance of boosting up the automobile industry also. Banking. Now, owing to a large number of possible bad debts due to bankruptcy declaration, the banking sector has also been predicted to face the hit. You please understand this. People have taken loans from the bank. Now, due to this situation of coronavirus, there are several bankruptcies declared, might be several bankruptcies declared also in future. As a result, there will be a lot of bad debts to the bank. So bank will lose money. However, don't you forget, for the banks with high provision coverage, those banks which are having high provision coverage with a big pocket, as they say, there is a chance for them for more loan disbursement to the big players. because there are big players who would like to want to invest on new sectors. Don't you forget that post pandemic new sectors will come up. Several e-commerce companies will come up, more e-commerce companies will come up, because people will move to e-commerce. People will like to have delivery at home. As a result, there will be a lot of more companies coming up, new startups coming up. Now there is a chance for the bank to go for more loan disbursement if they have got a high pocket, if they got a big pocket or high provision coverage. So they would want loans from the bank, and post and subject to the factor that such similar situation does not happen in near future, then this disbursement of loans may lead to consequent bigger profits over time. That is one side I would like to discuss. So I think I have discussed everything. The sectors, 7 sectors I told you, these are the 7 sectors. Very quickly: construction, travel and tourism. I told you construction because builders might like to quickly complete the pending projects, which may lead to jobs. Travel and tourism, people would like to travel now to their home, plenty, thousands. So this boost of air ticket price may show up the hospitality sector. Agriculture, there might be people, there is availability of labor, which gives a chance to boost up this sector. Restaurant, people because of their behavior might rush to a restaurant as if freed from prison. Same for retail and multiplex as restaurant. Automobile, people will like to purchase two-wheelers. India will like to develop battery cars, electric cars themselves. Boost up, it might boost up the automobile industry. Lot of jobs for mechanical and electrical engineers. Banking, there is a chance of more loan disbursement and making bigger profits over time if the bank has got high provision coverage. So all said and done, I would say the IT sector will flourish due to its essential needs and will grab the market with ease, especially artificial intelligence or AI, which is an imitation of the human intellect. See, the world has emerged in the fabrication of new technologies, which would reduce human efforts, and artificial intelligence is the way which can show a new path through which authenticity and quality of work diminishing the errors. So you can understand artificial intelligence is the new way. So it will have a huge thing. Why? Why is it a new way? Railways, telecoms, airports, corporates, etc. have started to adapt to this change of artificial intelligence with the upgradation of technologies. Medical sector will try to impose this technology to avoid contiguous outrage. What do I mean to say? Please read this next slide of mine, you will understand what I mean to say. Machines and robots will get involvement in the workforce at a rapid pace, as work from home might be a new work culture. It is already a new work culture, work from home. There will be a market for medical robots which can screen patients before sending them over to specific doctors. You can understand, even the doctor, without touching the patient, can use a robot to screen the patient and send him to isolation ward if required. Humanoid robot could make its way to assign patients with a tray carrying food or medicines, potentially reducing the chances of the hospital staff catching the infection. All this would mean even more scope for robotics. There's a huge chance of robotics. Don't you forget machine learning and Internet of Things. That will also come to the forefront. Why? Because Internet of Things means you, over the internet, you are trying to control machines. That is what I want to do. In factories, people now don't want to go. People just like to control the machineries of the factories from their home. How is it possible? It is possible through IoT. It is possible through Internet of Things, which will lead to a lot of jobs in this field for computer science and electronics engineers. There will be a huge number of jobs for computer science and electronics engineers because of this factor. Now, I would like to conclude the first part of my session. Don't you forget, I had 2 parts. Which sector will go up, which sector will go down? That was my first part. So that part I have covered. So the next part, before going to the next part, where I will be talking about online education, the difference with distance education, I will say that I would like to conclude by saying, whatever be the situation of the world and its economy, the best place to go for anybody now is a university. The best use of time is learning. So for you also, considering that nature of jobs is going to change big way, 30% reshuffling of jobs is inevitable. Higher education at the moment in the right direction is a mandate. What do I mean to say? I mean to say, don't forget that 30% jobs will be reshuffled. What do I mean? People doing one job will have to reshuffle and go to another job because new sectors will open, old sectors might go down. People have to learn new things. Where can you learn? The best place to learn is nothing but a university. The best use of time always is learning. So higher education at the moment in the right direction is a mandate. So what is that right direction? I have already discussed with you. Which sectors jobs will go up, which sectors it might go down. I have discussed with you. So what is the right direction? The students and their parents, there might be many students watching, those who have first class 12 wanting to pursue higher education. Students and their parents should always keep in mind that your choice of higher education will always go by the nature of the industry and should always be driven towards the sector of the industry which is flourishing. So you have heard from me which sectors are flourishing. You have heard, you have read from the experts which sectors are flourishing. So as parents, you will be wanting your word to pursue their education in that right direction. And don't you forget, where I take the chance of mentioning that whatever be said and done, the biggest thing to flourish is artificial intelligence. So before I go to my next portion of the presentation, I would like to remind you that at our university, I am the Vice Chancellor of University of Engineering and Management, UEM Jaipur. Here, we have got a course of BTech in Data Science and Artificial Intelligence, where you can do your BTech directly in Computer Science with a specialization in Data Science and Artificial Intelligence. That gives a huge chance industry is just going to boom in this sector. And our students, again, before I go to the next part, our students are developing many projects with robots. I'm going to take 2 or 3 minutes of your time to quickly show one or two of those robots. I will show you a video of 2 or 3 of the robots that our students have developed before I discuss about online education. So have a look into this video where I show the robots developed by our students. You see, I just put off the sound. This is a humanoid robot that our students have developed in their laboratory. This is the future. AI is the future. Robots are the future. Robots are going to carry tray of medicines for the patients in the hospitals. So see, this is the robot which is moving, the humanoid robot. If you have a look into it, you will find, you see, this robot can change its direction. See, these robots, have a look at this. This robot can pick up things, it can put down things, it can kick, it can show its emotion, it can show the different poses. This is the humanoid robot that our students have developed in their innovation laboratory. This is a medical robot. You can see it is a robotic hand. We call it prosthetic robotic hand. See, the robot fingers are moving exactly like the finger of the human being. It is used for those patients who does not have a hand or have lost their hand somehow, but the fillings in the hands are there. Those persons can wear this robotic hand and get back all the features that a human hand has got. This is a robotic hand I talked about. It's called a prosthetic robotic hand. This is a spider robot which can be used for spying purpose, can be used for different purpose also, for different carrying and all those things can be done using this robot. You can control this through IoT. I was talking about IoT, Internet of Things. You see, the mobile phone can be at any place. It can be in Delhi and you can be in Chennai, and still this robot can be controlled from your phone. This is an application of Internet of Things that our students have done. So I believe that you can understand that our students are on it. Our students of UEM Jaipur are developing robots at a rapid scale at their laboratories. So this is the future. This is the future of the industry. This is how industry is going to look like. I will not waste more time. Before I go to the next part of my discussion, where I promised you that my next part is this. What is the difference between distance education and online learning during the pandemic? See, many of you asked me this question. So you're saying, or many people are telling us that the universities will be giving courses online for the time being till the pandemic is over. I commit the same thing from UEM Jaipur also. From UEM Jaipur also, we are going to give totally online education till the pandemic is over. So this online learning during the pandemic, how is it different? I explain you the difference. The distance education gives a degree to the students, which is a distance education degree. You call it a distance degree, obtained not on the basis of contact hours. It is not on the basis of contact hours. That is, live classes and laboratories do not happen. In distance education, you do not have live classes and laboratories. Instead, it is on the basis of learning materials provided to the students. Students will be provided learning materials. Students go to the learning materials, learn those. Students are provided with books, they learn from the books. This is what distance education is. Online learning during this pandemic are being done by the universities with direct contact hours. Students are doing direct, giving direct contact hours. Students are having live classes. You will be clicking on a link and will be attending a live class. You will be attending a live laboratory. The laboratory, the teacher will bring in the laboratory equipments on screen and will show you how that laboratory works, how those equipments works. Assignments and exams will be live. You will be provided assignments directly. It will be checked online. Live teacher will be there with you, explaining you. You can ask question to the teacher. Teacher can hear your question and answer live. These are the things. Without loss of any routine academic hours introduced to facilitate a student to proceed with his or her career at a right time without loss of any year. So this is being done to facilitate the student to not to lose any year for himself or herself. So online learning means live classes where teachers will show you that how teachers will teach you directly. You can ask the question to the teacher directly. This is what it is done. Online learning during the pandemic, I can talk from UEM Jaipur point of view, but generally also it is done. In UEM Jaipur during the pandemic, classes are being conducted in online platforms like Google Meet, GoToWebinar, GoToMeeting, Cisco WebEx. All these are video conferencing software. Using this video conferencing software, classes are being taken live. Teachers are taking classes, students are asking questions. So everything is happening one-to-one with the help of this video conferencing software. Laboratories, how are they being conducted? They are being conducted using virtual labs. Now, vlab.co.in is a platform by the Ministry of HRD, Government of India, which means virtual lab. Using this, the virtual laboratories are being done. Programming related laboratories are being done using standard programming editors like MATLAB, HackerRank, etc. Exams and assignments, they are being done using Google Classroom, where students are being sent the exams and assignments. The students are answering those, scanning and uploading, which are being assigned directly from the platform to the teachers to check. To avoid malpractices, question papers are being set using analytical questions and open book type questions, where even if the students refer to books, answers are not available, they are straightforward. Analytical mind is needed to deduce the answers. Invigilation can also be done using this video conferencing software, and one teacher can be assigned 10 students maximum. That also can be done. If the exams can be divided into bigger time slots, you can make it maybe 5:1. Placement is also going on in full-fledged. The companies are using platforms like Skype. Skype platforms are being used by the companies to conduct online interviews face to face, and online mode exams are also being conducted. Internships has been arranged. In UEM Jaipur, I can say internship has been arranged for 500 students. So over here, I would also like to show you this. One of our students just 2 days back, Obhijit Datta, current third year BTech CSE of UEM Jaipur, he has acquired an offer from Giga Data Center Atlanta, an international placement with a salary of rupees 6 lakhs per month. Rupees 6 lakhs per month. So you can say, you can understand that if you know, there is no dearth of job anywhere, even at this stage. Now, I would like to end the session by proudly saying that UEM Jaipur is amongst the top 12 institutes in the country who have been certified by QS, the most prestigious award on globe, as an e-lead institution capable of providing education online. You can find out UEM is over here. This is UEM. You can find the 12 institutes of the country. They have been given the elite certificate from QS. QS is the most prestigious award on globe. QS has given UEM Jaipur an elite institution, an elite certificate. You can see this video. This is the video. You can click this. You can easily click this picture. If you're watching it on mobile, you can take a screenshot of this. If you're watching it on laptop, you can quickly click a picture from your mobile to see the link. You can go to this link and find out that over here in front of the higher education minister, this human HRD minister, this certificate was provided to UEM Jaipur as an e-lead institution. I would like to conclude my session by saying this, and I'm ready for any questions. So just on a positive note, all said and done, universities need to be ready for reopening following all social distancing protocols, like assigning spaces with minimum distance of 2 meters for the students to sit, classrooms to be increased, classes need to be further divided into more slots to allow lesser students. Similar should be done for laboratories also. Routine with increase on time and number of dates may also be thought of, while reducing the number of students coming together. So partial online mode can also be used. So these are the different things that the different colleges are going to use to maintain the social distancing protocols. Less number of students at a time, bigger period of classes, maybe the classes will be extended maybe, but lesser students will have to come, different days for different students. So physical contact hours are essential. I would always say yes, online is good, but physical contact hours are essential for interpersonal skills and better networking. So all colleges will definitely be ready once this pandemic is over. So why not? Even if it is 6 months, even if it is 1 year, we will have to go through online mode. No problem. Let us continue education in online mode. Let us learn this method also. Once this pandemic is over, we will see good days. The world will again smile, and when the world will again smile, we will again meet at the university. Students and teachers will meet. We'll have a very good time together. So now, as I have completed, I will go to the questions. I'm sure that there are some questions. Get admission in UEM. What is needed to get admission? I will tell you. See, this is the phone number. I have given you the phone numbers. Two phone numbers are there. Sorry, two phone numbers are there. One is 9887313330. The other phone number is 8010700500. So Shaunak Ghosh. Dear Shaunak, you can quickly click a picture of this, or you can take a screenshot of this. Once you get a screenshot or a picture of this, you can call in this number and take admission for this. Rahul Pandey saying how to get admission. Same thing, Rahul. You can call in these numbers. We have got online admission open. They will give you all the links and everything. They will tell you how to go for this online admission. Okay. So Trishita Pradhan. He has said I got to learn a lot. Thank you, Trishita. Okay. Courses to be done by HR student. Gul Afsha says. See, this does not have a straightforward answer, Gul. Actually, the thing is that you will have to go for those sectors where job is flourishing. I've already told you that, and I'm sure you have heard those. So you can learn those things. You can have a course maybe on IoT. You can have a course maybe on DS, data sciences, like that. So the next question is, yeah, Nirbhay Mishra says, sir, can we get a certificate for this session? Yes, you will get a certificate very soon. This session, anybody who has attended, you can get a certificate for this session. Okay, Vishwakesh Tripathi says, should I choose some college or should I explore better college out of state? That depends. See, even if you are in your state, You will have to go for online education till the pandemic is over. Till the pandemic is over, you are not going to travel. So you are going to go for online education only. So you can definitely go out of state. In that way, what is how you are getting helped is for 1 year or maybe 6 months, you are getting the interesting thing, you are getting this online education. But after that, you can also have the hostel life. Maybe 2 years of hostel life will help you. Okay. 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 Okay, so these are mainly, mostly questions are how to take admission or which sector should I study. So I have not got any new question. All these questions are revolving around this. So see, those who are looking for admission, I will repeat. See, have a look at this phone number 98873 or have a look at this phone number 8010700500. You can call in any of these numbers and seek admission. So admissions are open. You can go for online admission, and which course you are going to look for. I will always tell you BTech is going to flourish. CSE, IT, your electronics, electrical, mechanical, huge chance in automobile industry with these electric cars, which are now going to be manufactured in India. Same for CSEI with the robots, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things. You can go for civil engineering. Construction sector will flourish very soon because the pending projects will have to be completed. So I'm sure that you can go for engineering. It will really help. If you are not eligible for engineering, you have passed class 12, but you have mathematics, BCA is a course where you can get all those courses, all those learnings, all those papers which they cover in BTech. So you can also go for BCA course. If you are looking for administrative oriented course, because see, administrators are always needed. Especially now, the companies will need a lot of good administrators for policies and all these things. So MBA, BBA, big options are going to shoot like nothing. So there will be good things in all sectors. University is the best place to come. Like if you want to spend maybe 1 year or 2 years of time. So what better than a university? I welcome you all. I think that's all for the session. Thank you. I'm sure you have noted down the phone numbers. I repeat once more, 98873 and 8010700500. Thank you. Thank you so much.